making today is scalloped potatoes. One of my favorite Christmas side dishes. That and mashed potatoes, and I often take both because that's the beauty of a potluck. So right now we are working with our, I'm looking at the box, mandolin to slice up these. So we are starting off with 3 pounds of russet potatoes. I chose russets because we did grow them this year and they were really good and they work great for this. I like to leave the skins on in my scalloped potatoes, but you can peel them. Basically I'm on my last one. I kind of pre-cut these to save boring you to tears, but I hate mandolins, by the way. They don't work as well as they're supposed to. At least mine doesn't. Now you want to cut these at about 1/8 of an inch thick. And see, that's what happens. The thingy falls off. So we're just going to leave that. I've got lots there anyway. So I do keep them in water because we aren't ready to layer these yet. We're going to head to the stove and make up our white sauce, which will smother all these. So as soon as I've got that going, then I will come back and start layering in my, what do you call it? Casserole, cast iron casserole. You could also do that in a 9 by 13 casserole as well. I just prefer my cast iron one. We are over at the stove and we're going to make our white sauce. What we're going to start with is 1/4 cup of butter. You probably could use margarine as well. I personally think everything tastes better with butter. Hence why we got cows this year. Because need to be able to make some butter. So we get that in there. Whoops. 1 large onion, and you want that diced pretty small. I mean, it doesn't have to be pureed or grated, but pretty small. We're going to put that in there. And 2 cloves of garlic. I went with really big cloves because we do like our garlic. And that's just put through a garlic press. Just like that. And then we're going to let this cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. Until those onions are just kind of starting to look cooked. And then we will add our chicken broth, which is 1 cup of chicken broth. I will put the recipe down below as well so that, you know, everybody has the instructions to do these wonderful scalloped potatoes. Alright, so I got things a little bit mixed up on the next bit here. You're going to put in your flour before you add your chicken broth. So, as you can see, our onions are just starting to kind of go that opaque or translucent kind of color. So we're going to start to just put in our flour. It's going to get really quite thick. And then we're going to just add our chicken broth. Basically like making kind of any white sauce. You're going to wait, that's going to thicken up. After this part, you want to add about 2 cups of milk. I happen to have actually whipping cream in the fridge, which will make it amazingly creamy. So I am going to go with 3/4 of a cup of whipping cream. Oh, so there's our 1 cup. We're going to get that in. And whisk it about. And what I usually do with my 2nd cup, I measure it out, but I don't add it all at once because I don't want it to get too runny. So as this comes to a boil, I am going to just kind of slowly add as I gauge the thickness of the cream. We will bring you back once I've got this ready to add to our, what do you call it? Layered potatoes. Alright, so we have all of our liquid in a nice rolling boil here. I guess sort of rolling, just starting. But you can see kind of the thickness you want there. You want it a little runny, but not too bad. So that looks pretty good in my books. You can see those chunks of onion. Now, last thing we're adding to this is a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and about a quarter, if I can reach it, quarter teaspoon of pepper. So we'll just stir that in and turn our heat off. And we'll move over to layering it in our casserole. I skipped ahead a little bit, but you want to put about 1/3 of your potatoes layered into a greased casserole. So I did butter around the edges of my casserole pan. We've got 1/3 of the potatoes laid down, somewhat flat, but still with nice gaps, and just a sprinkle of salt and pepper on top. So now my recipe should be for about 3 to 4 cups of liquid. So in order to put 1/3 of the liquid on there, I'm using my quarter of a cupper and just putting 4 of those right on top. Was that 3 or 4?
3.
Getting in the groove, don't know what I'm doing. All right, so that's the first one layer. And then I just shake out the liquid. I don't think it really matters if there's a little bit in there. And kind of, it's not rocket science. It doesn't have to be too pretty. It all looks the same in the end. So again, we're coming up to about another 1/3 in there. We're going to dust with some salt and pepper again. That was a little bit of extra salt, maybe not quite that much. And pepper. And then again with the sauce. And I prefer to have extra sauce at the end to smother over it all, so I'm sticking with the 1 cup again. Another thing that's very nice about this recipe is you can, now I put onions in it. There's also the option to put mushrooms if you wanted it to be mushroomy. Another thing that I have done before, which is very, very tasty, is grated cheddar cheese. And again, between each layer you put a little bit of shredded cheese and then a nice layer of cheese on top. Kind of like a, I guess kind of like an au gratin. Now, oh, I forgot the salt and pepper. See? Got distracted. This is how I cook. We just kind of throw it together. I'm going to need a spatula, aren't I? And then the last of it all goes on top, like so. And I've preheated my oven to 350, but that is basically it. Our delicious scalloped potatoes for Christmas dinner. So there we have it. The scalloped potatoes are all finished up. They've done 45 minutes at 350 covered. Then you do them for another 45 minutes uncovered, and then do an extra 10 minutes where you crank her up to 400 to get that nice little crust on the top. Again, as I said earlier in the video, there's lots of variations you could do for this recipe. This is just sort of the basic scalloped potatoes. I scatter a little bit of parsley on top there. I use dried because I've already dehydrated all of my parsley out of the garden. But this is going to be part of our dinner tonight, so looking forward to it.